Alright, in this video I'm going to be breaking down Irredeemable Volume 2. I covered Volume 1 last week and a lot of you were really digging that opening chapter. I want to address a few things from the last video. One, my pronunciation of Singapore. I pronounced it Signapore. And yeah, it was just a mistake. For some reason, I thought it was spelled differently. I thought it was Signa. And I recorded the whole video and edited it and uploaded it. And by the time I realized my mistake, I was like, I am not re-recording that entire chapter of the book just to change a Signa to a Singa. And I was like, no one's going to notice, but tons of you noticed because I got plenty of comments on my pronunciation of it. So I just wanted to let everyone know. I know I made a mistake. It is not the first time I mispronounced a country or city in one of my videos, and I will pronounce it correctly going forward. Another thing I want to talk about is just a funny comment on the first video. So one person wrote, "Shout out to the jerks at the radio station who decided to throw the best hero on the planet under the bus at a moment's notice and then acted shocked when he was rightfully mad. Alana damned us all. Like, legit. Talk about an overreaction, and why, oh why, did she have to scream it to everyone? That was some old bullcrap." And to that I say amen. Alana and those jerks at the radio station really were kind of assholes to Plutonian and ruined his secret identity, ruined him, and they definitely deserve some blame. Hashtag it is all Alana's fault. But Alana is definitely a small part in the overall combination of things that makes Plutonian go crazy. She really did him dirty in that opening volume. Anyway, those are some thoughts on Volume 1. Let's dive into the story in Volume 2 and see where the story takes us. Irredeemable Volume 2, written by Mark Waid, art by Peter Krause. Before I begin Volume 2, let's do a little character breakdown and remind ourselves where we left off with the main Paradigm members last volume. Plutonian sunk Singapore and killed millions. Cubit tried to stop the destruction of Singapore, but couldn't, and ended up retreating back to his headquarters. He is unharmed. Gilgamos and Bet Noir went to assist in Singapore, but Plutonian knocked them out, and Cubit had to get them home safely and save their lives. Caden and Volt are unharmed and back at their base now. Carrie, he got injured when Plutonian killed a whole bunch of villains by causing the hero Inferno's secret headquarters to self-destruct and explode. Carrie's brother Skilla died in the explosion, however, and was not as lucky. Samsara was lobotomized by Plutonian. He can't ever really fully die, but he is brain dead, so for the most part he is effectively dead. And Hornet got murdered in his family's home by Plutonian. Outside of the Paradigm, we have the villain Modius, the only person that Plutonian is actually scared of. He has been missing for several years. Cubit has built a whole bunch of Modius robot androids in an attempt to find the real Modius. Alright, now let's dive into Issue 5. On the news, a headline reads, "World on Fire." It goes into all the mass casualties caused by the Plutonian. Another headline reads, "What happened to the Plutonian?" Another headline ponders, "Where are the heroes?" It is wondering where are the members of the Paradigm that seem to be missing. Of course, we know that they are really in hiding. We see a flashback now to happier days. We see the first day that Paradigm member Volt was invited to Paradigm headquarters for the first time and was meeting all of the other heroes. This is when Volt first joined their group. Gilgamos says to Volt, "Hey, I know you. You're Black Volt?" And Volt answers, "No, that's the other guy." Gilgamos says, "Oh, you're from Philadelphia, right?" And Volt to this says, "No, that's the other guy. Look, I am solidly aware that an electromagnetic African-American super is a Total cliche, my apologies. I didn't order this power off the menu, I swear. Mark Waid here is poking fun of the fact that there seem to be so many black characters in comic history that have electricity powers of some sort. Some that come to mind to me are Black Lightning, Static, Storm from the X-Men, and Jamie Foxx's Electro in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 movie. Gilgamesh asks how Volt got his powers. Were they a gift from the gods? Volt replies, another interesting guess, no. Remember that alien invasion last October? I got caught in the middle of some weird energy flux and woke up all crackly. Bête Noire wants to cut to the chase, and she asks Volt if he wants to join their team. Volt asks how much does it pay? Plutonian says at the time, does it always have to be about money? Volt says he can't hold a regular job due to his powers. He says, I can't touch a computer without it exploding, I can't drive a car, I can't wear a watch, I have to live with my mother. Plutonian offers to get some help for Volt's power surges. And Volt asks, what's it gonna cost him? And Plutonian replied, an unselfish moment. From that day on, Volt joined the Paradigm and he always appreciated what Plutonian did, helping him out. Fast forward to when Plutonian went crazy a few weeks ago and started killing everybody. Volt confronted Plutonian and told him, Tony, please, let us help you, man. It's not too late to make this right. What can I do? All you've done for me? I'd give my left arm for you, you know that. Plutonian, he removed Volt's left arm and told him, let's call it even. Plutonian let Volt live, but Volt had no left arm anymore. Fast forward a bit more now, back to the current day at the Paradigm's new secret headquarters. Caden and Volt are watching over Bête Noire. Bête Noire is still recovering and lying down. Carrie, however, is awake now. He looks at his face in the mirror and is upset at his disfigurement and all the bandages he has on. He is also angry that his brother Skilla is now dead. Caden and Volt try and calm Carrie down, but Carrie lashes out and says, what do I have now? What do I have left? I don't have a family, I don't have a face, I don't have powers? Carrie and Skilla supposedly shared their powers, and with Skilla gone now, Carrie is powerless. Volt asks him what happened, and Carrie answers, they're gone. When Skilla died, when that murdering bastard Plutonian killed him, we were only super when we were in proximity. Now I'm just an ordinary guy waiting around to be obliterated by Plutonian. Carrie eventually storms off. Meanwhile, Bête Noire wakes up from her recovery, and Gilgamesh, her husband, comes in and checks in on her. He tells her, I'm right here, love. Are you in pain? Bête Noire answers, I'm okay. What about Singapore? And Gilgamesh tells her it's gone. Quibbit got us both back here before it sank. I tried to protect you, but Tony hit me like a thunderbolt. It seemed like he was saying something to you before I got knocked out, though. When they were fighting back in Singapore last issue, Plutonian told Bête Noire, you betrayed me. Bête Noire hides that information now, though, and she tells her husband, oh no, nothing important, he said to me. Eventually, all the Paradigm members join Cubit in his main laboratory, along with all of his Modius androids, which he built to hopefully help him track the real Modius down. Cubit explains his actions, he says. The only one who knows where Modius went off to is Modius himself, and I can't outguess him. No one can. No one ever could. So, I made my own Modiuses, an AI. Ultimately, they'll hypothesize it out. They'll find the real Modius because they think just like him. Cubit's weird, convoluted Modius artificial intelligences somehow detect the real Modius's whereabouts, and a camera feed starts displaying into Cubit's view screen. Volt asks if the camera angle can be moved around, and apparently it can. The Paradigm see various images through the view screen, such as a painting with all the Paradigm members, as well as something that looks like a throne, as well as some flames. All the members of the Paradigm are trying to figure out what they are seeing. Where is this? Bete Noir in horror says, "Oh my god, it's his place. It's the Plutonian sanctuary." Cubit continues panning around the camera for clues, but Plutonian is there in his sanctuary, and he hears the camera moving, and he is alerted to their presence. Volt panics and blasts the viewfinder, destroying it. All the Paradigm members discuss what those images mean, and Modius appears to be in Plutonian's sanctuary? Carrie, who was hanging back at the room, says, "I'd say that there are 3 things that are pretty obvious." Yeah, I was watching too. 1. Wherever Plutonian's hideout is, and wherever Modius is, it looks like we're going to have to go through there to get him. 2. Bete Noir's been holding out on us. Bete Noir says that Carrie doesn't know what he's talking about. Carrie replies, she recognized a place we've never been to and she did it right off the bat. Bete Noir claims she was just guessing. But Carrie, who knows all about her affair with the Plutonian, says, "Really? Because I assumed you knew it from all the times you slept with him." Gilgamos, who was oblivious to his wife's affair, in anger says, "What did you say?" as he punches Carrie to the ground. And Carrie on the ground states, And 3, neither of those things are even as remotely urgent as this last one. Cubit's Modius robots, the ones who are built with the brain patterns of history's deadliest criminal, well, they just up and left. Issue 6. We see Plutonian having a flashback to when he was a child. Plutonian, when he was a kid, bounced around to various foster homes. His foster parents would at first love him, and Plutonian would be eager for their love, but over time, Plutonian's foster parents would always come to fear him, because Plutonian would have a temper, and sometimes he would accidentally use his powers and harm them. One such incident had little Plutonian, who was then just a normal 9-year-old boy named Danny. Danny, he was trying to fix his bike, and then he accidentally burned through the bike chain. Little Danny started getting angry. Adult Plutonian, who is reliving this memory, is talking to his younger self, and he says, "Danny, it's okay, it's gonna be alright. Don't make them afraid of you, Danny." But little Danny, he threw his bike high into the air, and we assume he accidentally threw the bike right at his foster mom. Back to the current day. The Paradigm members are hunting the Modius robots in their hidden base, and they are trying to destroy them before the Modius bots do some sort of weird evil shit, as they appear to have gone rogue. Which really was to be expected, I guess. You don't just make androids with artificial intelligences of the world's greatest villain and not expect them to try and do bad shit at some point. Gilgamos, he punches through one of the Modius bots, destroying it. Bete Noir shoots another one with one of her fancy bullets in her fancy gun, and she vaporizes it. Kaden takes another Modius bot down with her summoning characters from Japanese Legends ability, and Volt electrocutes another Modius bot. Meanwhile, Cubit and Carrie search for the remaining Modius bot in other parts of their base. Cubit says, "The exits haven't been breached, so they're still on the premises, which is good and bad. Good in that we can't afford for them to be loose in the world. Bad in that anything with half of Modius's cunning and 15 minutes access to the technology we have is quite dangerous." Carrie says, as I recall, Modius could make a death ray out of an iPod and a shaving mirror. Cubit and Carrie enter a storage room, and sure enough, they find the last Modius bot. The Modius bot surprises and wounds Cubit and starts choking Carrie, but eventually they get saved when Bete Noir shows up and shoots the Modius bot in the head. That for now seems to be the final Modius robot. When things calm down, they look through that storage closet room, and they wonder why the Modius robot would try and come here. Cubit, he looks through a box which happens to be Samsara's personal effects, whatever he wasn't buried with. This is what the Modius robot seemed to be trying to mess with in the room. Cubit searches through the box, and he finds a small little device which has been emitting an SOS signal. Cubit then breaks the device immediately, and he starts panicking, saying, "No, no, no!" Cubit explains it's a panic button. It's set specifically for Tony to hear. He can follow the signal from anywhere. He'll be coming here now, any moment. Our location is no longer secret. We need to go. So this Modius robot triggered that little device and was basically calling Plutonian to their location. Caden asks, how soon do we have before he gets here? Cubit answers, sound travels at about 768 miles per hour. The device has been going off for at least 15 minutes. We don't know precisely where Plutonian is, but at least we know where he's not going to be. They all have to evacuate where they are right now before Plutonian arrives, but they can use this opportunity to teleport to Plutonian's Citadel, the one they saw in the viewfinder, because they know for sure that this is one time Plutonian won't be there. They will have the place to themselves, and they can look around and see if they can find Modius, as supposedly Modius is in the Citadel. A computer in their base starts announcing, "Warning, unidentified object approaching at Mach 3, Mach 4. Bet Noir asks, "Isn't this facility cloaked?" Cubit says, "Plutonian doesn't have to see it. He'll just travel in a straight line to the source of that noise." They all start running through a teleportation portal to try and get out of here before Plutonian arrives. Carrie, he says that he will stay behind. He has no powers now since his brother is dead, which makes him expendable. He'll buy the rest of the group sometime. Cubit, along with a decapitated head of one of the Modius bots, Caden, Gilgamos, Bet Noir, and Volt all manage to teleport away in time, and they arrive at Plutonian's Citadel. The Citadel is in the heart of a volcano. Plutonian built his base here because it would pretty much remain hidden, and it would be pretty hard for anyone to get here and penetrate it. As they walk around the Citadel base, they are looking for Modius as well as any information they can find on Plutonian. As they are walking through the base, they see something horrific. What did they see? We will get back to that at the end of this issue, as it is a big reveal. Back over to Carrie. Plutonian arrives at where the paradigm we're operating out of and finds only Carrie there remaining. Plutonian, he begins choking him. Carrie turns on a computer screen, which starts playing various news reports of an incident that happened a long time ago. The news reports on the screen are reporting about a mysterious outbreak in Jackson, Tennessee, where some sort of disease caused children there to die rapidly. It liquefied their flesh and turned them into skeletons, and then it also animated them, and the skeletons would start walking around and stuff. The outbreak was eventually stopped by the Plutonian and members of the Paradigm, but many children died. Carrie says, "Hell of a day, wasn't it? It was the kind of thing that could give nightmares to the devil." We now have a flashback to that horrific day. A mysterious virus was affecting children there and turning them into skeletons. Cubit was analyzing this virus outbreak, and he says, "It's virus-like, I assume extraterrestrial. It's taking only children because their autoimmune systems aren't mature enough to fight it off. But how? How is it transmitting? It's not by touch, it's too fast to be airborne. Plutonian might be able to make sense of something. Has anyone seen him? So why was Plutonian missing for a few minutes here when something so dire was happening?" Well, eventually Plutonian did arrive on the scene. And when he did arrive, he says that he can hear the virus. He was surprised the others couldn't. only he could because of his heightened senses. Cubit, he figured out things a little bit more, and he explained further that it's ultrasonic. It's an ultrasonic life form, this virus. That's why it pulverizes soft tissue. It's a living vibration, a virus that's a sound wave, and it travels on the screams of the living. Cubit asks Plutonian for help. He said, "I need an exact frequency of the virus. Give me a specific wavelength to the 10th decimal. Further, if you can." Plutonian, he managed to do so. And with that information, Cubit calculated an appropriate counter frequency. And he devised a series of delivery systems that would eradicate the virus before it could travel outside the city of Jackson, Tennessee. The Paradigm, they saved millions of children's lives by stopping the virus from escaping the city. But they still were not quick enough to save everyone in that city, and every child in Jackson, Tennessee died. Back to the current day. Carrie, talking to Plutonian, tells him, "We'd done everything we could as quickly as we could, but, well, I don't have to tell you. The only thing that was scarier to us was seeing your reaction to what happened that day. We had never ever imagined you like that, but to be fair, I'd have been speechless too, if it had been all my fault." Now this is a big reveal moment. The death of all these children was somehow Plutonian's fault, but how? This clearly affected Plutonian, because when we jump back over to Plutonian's Citadel, the horrific thing that the Paradigm members came across was a room Plutonian had built in his base that had a whole bunch of those dead skeleton children there. Plutonian must have built this in his Citadel and left it here as some sort of reminder or monument to his greatest failure. Issue 7. Plutonian is holding Carrie up to a wall. Carrie asks him, "Aren't you wondering how I figured it out?" Carrie explains through a flashback. After all the deaths in Tennessee, Carrie and his brother helped Plutonian with the cleanup effort, and they traced back the source of the virus that killed all of the children to a research laboratory. In the wreckage, Carrie found a little alarm device. He didn't think much of it at the time, but he recognizes it now as Cubit found a similar one. It is just like the SOS alarm Plutonian gave Samsara. Now, why on earth would a research laboratory have that at their lab? Carrie asks, unless it was to call you, the Plutonian, in case of a catastrophe. We jump over to Plutonian's Citadel. The Paradigm members wonder why Plutonian would keep a room like this with all of these skeleton children in it. As they keep searching the facility, they get attacked by the superpowered magic-based villain Incanta, whom Plutonian took as a prisoner last volume. Incanta fires on them with a weapon. She misses though, and then she proceeds to run away. The Paradigm members search for her in various rooms. Bête Noire walks into a room where Plutonian built a creepy shrine to her. He has various paintings and statues of her everywhere. She tells the group, "Dead end in here, nothing to see, let's keep moving." Eventually the group finds Incanta and they try and restrain her. They see Plutonian has forced her to dress like Bête Noire, and we assume he did some messed up things to her. Incanta, scared and a little on edge, yells, "So that sick bastard's just gonna pass me around to his friends now? Is that it? Don't touch me!" The group tries to calm her down and they say they are not here to hurt her. Gilgamos, looking at her, wonders, why is she dressed like my wife? Bête Noire sighs. Her efforts to deny her secret affair with Plutonian will probably not fool her husband for much longer. Back over to Plutonian and Carrie. Plutonian tells Carrie, "It's not what you think. It wasn't my fault. They goaded me." Carrie asks, Whoa. I don't know who this they is. Who the hell pushes around the world's strongest man?" Plutonian replies, "Them. The ant farm I call Earth, Carrie. No matter what you do for people, all they want is more and more." Plutonian then goes on to explain that at one point there was an alien invasion of Earth, and Plutonian and the rest of the Paradigm heroes stopped it, and the world was thankful. But some of the world's top scientists started demanding that the Paradigm hand over the extraterrestrial technology that they recovered in the course of the battle. But the Paradigm refused. They thought it was too risky. Cubit said they might as well be handing out hand grenades to orangutans. And he was right. There was this one scientist that would just not let it go. Not let go of the fact that the Paradigm weren't handing over this technology. His name was Dr. Seabrook, and he would annoy the hell out of the Plutonian. He would publish blog posts, editorials, screeching idiot tirades about how selfish Plutonian was to not share the technology that might benefit the world. And Plutonian would actually sit there at night and read these blog posts, and it would piss him off. So one day, Plutonian decided to shut this scientist up, and he flew over to that scientist's lab and asked him if he was sincere. Plutonian said to him, "You say this crusade isn't about you, it's about mankind. Is that true?" Dr. Seabrook, surprised to see Plutonian, said he was in fact sincere. Plutonian asked if he could trust him, and Dr. Seabrook hesitated but said yes. Tony listened to the man's heart rate and believed him, so Plutonian gave Dr. Seabrook a little alien-like device, which Plutonian assumed was safe. And he told Dr. Seabrook, "Then let's start small. I retrieved this from one of the alien craft. It's a sonic device of some kind. It doesn't appear to be a weapon, but it contains some sort of self-sustaining sound wave. You might find some application for it. It's quite beautiful a tone, actually. Examine it, but be careful. If you find anything in here that disturbs you or that seems dangerous, anything that gives you any cause for alarm whatsoever, call me with this, and I promise I'll come right away without a moment's hesitation." Plutonian then gave Dr. Seabrook the little SOS signal device that only he can hear, the same one that he gave to Samsara. Before Plutonian left Dr. Seabrook, he told him, "One last thing, at least for now, tell no one. I don't want people to start believing that their wishes magically come true when they badmouth me." Over the next while, Plutonian continued on with his hero duties, saving people. He started to get overwhelmed a bit though. His hearing was so good, he could hear people all over the world asking for help. They would just be assaulting his senses, and it would be too much. And then when he would save people, they would be ungrateful. One such incident happened on a boat. Plutonian saved a wealthy Greek businessman from pirates, but the Greek businessman, rather than be grateful, told Plutonian, "Oh my god, look at this bullet damage on my boat. Do you know how much money I spent on this thing? Don't just stand there, fix this." Plutonian told the man, "I'm not a carpenter, sir." The man is insistent though. He says, "Use your powers or something. It'll take you 2 seconds. Come on." A younger Caden joked with Plutonian at the time. "Go on, Tony. You heard the man. Use your wood vision already." This guy. Plutonian, rather than just let this go though and not make a big deal about it, instead got really angry and totally lost it on this guy. He yells at him, "I owe you nothing! Stop it! Just stop it!" Plutonian then took off into the sky and yelled, "Give me one moment of peace!" Plutonian flew into space, and he landed on the moon, and he sat down on a rock, and he just wanted to get away from it all the noise on Earth, all the people begging him for help. He was only on the moon for like 10 minutes. He just wanted a lousy 10 minutes to himself. 10 minutes of silence. The problem was, though, he picked probably the worst 10 minutes to be out of range of Earth. Dr. Seabrook was tinkering with that alien device Plutonian gave him, and he inadvertently released the virus that started resulting in the deaths of many children in Jackson, Tennessee. Dr. Seabrook, he used the SOS device Plutonian gave him, but Plutonian didn't hear it because he was on the moon. And it wasn't until Plutonian finally started heading back to Earth that he heard it. But by then it was already kind of too late, and many children already died. So, this is why that virus or disease was Plutonian's fault. He wanted to shut up this scientist, so he gave the scientist alien technology he thought was safe, and he believed the scientist to be sincere in his criticism. But by the scientist tinkering with the device, he released this deadly virus. And on top of that, Plutonian's anger issues caused him to leave Earth for the moon for silence, so he was not able to react quickly enough to the virus when it started spreading. Back to the current day again. Plutonian, tossing Carrie around, asks him, "Who else knows?" And Carrie replies, "No one." "That's one hell of a secret, Tony." Plutonian looks at Carrie and is ready to incinerate him with his eye beams, but Carrie tells Plutonian, "I have a secret too." What is that secret? Well, Carrie, he then blasts Plutonian with some energy from his body. Plutonian goes flying back and falls to the ground, and then Plutonian is very confused. Carrie, engulfed with red energy around him, tells Plutonian, "My brother never had his own power, Tony. He shared mine." Issue 8. Carrie attacks Plutonian, and then he explains his secret. Carrie says, "Skilla was helpless without me. From the day we were born, all he could do was siphon energy off of me, and I let him. I always made us look like equals out of pity. We never told anybody. Cubit, Caden, nobody. But half my power wasn't enough to save him when you brought Inferno's headquarters down around us. The second I woke up, I could tell that he was gone. I could feel it. All that excess energy had nowhere to go. It was practically jumping out of my skin. You killed my brother. I knew right then that I could do the same to you if I faked being powerless. I could blindside you, and all I'd have to do is pick my moment." Carrie attacked Plutonian a little bit more, and Plutonian is now lying in some rubble in Sky City. Carrie, infused with so much power, tells Plutonian, "That's what sucks about being nearly invulnerable, Tony. You never had to learn how to fight." Carrie then blasts Plutonian with some more energy, and it seems that Carrie is no match for Plutonian. Carrie tells Plutonian, "I shared with my twin because I never needed all that power, not with Plutonian on our side, right? But you stopped being on our side the day you finally snapped and obliterated a city of 3.5 million people who loved you. You! What happened, Tony? What made you turn the city into a river of blood? Some 5-year-old flip you off?" We jump over to Plutonian's sanctuary. Gilgamos is interrogating Encanta and asking her why is she dressed like his wife. Gilgamos seems like he actually knows the answer, knows that Plutonian was having an affair with his wife and was obsessed with her and is now forcing this Encanta to dress like her and live out some sort of weird fantasies. But Gilgamos still wants to hear it himself. He asks Encanta, "Tell me, did he say your name or hers? Do you satisfy his needs? Was he the best you ever had?" Cubit then interrupts and announces that he has found nothing in the Citadel. No sign of Modius and no way to track him down. Cubit wonders, what is he missing? What did he overlook? And then he sees Encanta and suspects it is perhaps something to do with her. Back over to Plutonian and Carrie, and they're fighting. Carrie is still punching and hitting Plutonian with various energy beams. He asks Plutonian, "Why destroy a city, Tony? Why?" Plutonian screams out, "Samsara! Samsara's why!" Carrie is a little bit confused. He says, "Samsara, your sidekick? That kid worshipped you, and you carved out his brain." Plutonian explains that Samsara was never supposed to know. We have a flashback. Plutonian one day flew over to talk to Samsara. Plutonian found something called the Lost Sapphire of Ishwar and was giving it to Samsara as a gift. It would help Samsara with his powers and make him stronger. Samsara, though, confronted Plutonian. Samsara was very saddened and disappointed. Samsara told Plutonian that the scientist at Sky City Research called to talk to me about what really happened in Jackson, Tennessee. They showed me how they know the virus came from you, that you gave it over to somebody, but you never bothered to check to find out how dangerous it was. They came to me because they were afraid of you. They said you've known ever since it happened, but you won't admit it. Tell me it's not true." Plutonian, he was embarrassed that he was the cause of this disease spreading, and he tried to cover it up. And when he is confronted by Samsara with proof that he's heard, Plutonian lies and says, "Sam, they don't know what they're talking about." Samsara, he grows even more saddened and disappointed, and he looks at Plutonian and tells him, "I never knew you could lie." This is the moment that set Plutonian off and pushed him over the edge. Plutonian, he flew up into the air to the laboratory in Sky City. He grabs the scientists that are there and he began yelling at them, and he told them, "Why did you tell him? He didn't have to know. No one trusted me like he did, and you took that away from me. I didn't mean for Jackson, Tennessee to happen. Is that how this works? I make one stupid mistake and now I have nothing? Now no one will ever look up to me again? After all the good I've done?" The scientists are kind of screaming and a little bit scared. Plutonian yells at them some more, saying, "Stop it! Stop looking at me like I'm some bomb that could go off at any time. Is that what you think I am? Is that what you want me to be? Is it? Fine." Then, like a bomb, Plutonian wipes out the scientist in the lab, as well as most of Sky City, and that is when he basically killed millions of people. Back to the current day again. Plutonian tells Carrie, "Do you know why I told you that story, Carrie? So you'd stop lecturing me about sucker punches." "Whine some more! Your brother's dead now? You're all alone? It happens!" Carrie blasts Plutonian with energy again and knocks him back. The rest of the Paradigm teleport in and arrive on the scene. They are surprised to see that Carrie is still alive. They didn't know he still had powers. They thought he was on a suicide mission. Not only is Carrie alive now, he is kicking Plutonian's ass. Plutonian actually decides to retreat and fly away. Volt tells Carrie, "Be ready, he'll come back around." Carrie's arrogance, though, starts showing through. Carrie gloats, "I doubt it. Not this time." He's off to lick his wounds. Caden asks Carrie, "I thought you were, Carrie interrupts and says, "A drunken loser? No. I'm the one who's gonna lead this team to victory. Now that I'm calling the shots, Plutonian's on the run now." Cubit and Volt make eye contact with each other. They wonder, is Carrie going to be a little bit of a problem going forward? Now, where did Plutonian retreat off to? We see Plutonian has flew down underground to the grave of Samsara, and in the ground there he lies beside his previous best friend whose life he ended. And that is the end of Volume 2. Alright. Right, that was Irredeemable Volume 2, and I thought this continued the story nicely. It did not reach the highs to me that Volume 1 did when the story was completely fresh to us, but I still thought it was a good continuation. I liked some of the Modius bot stuff in here. I liked seeing more of Plutonian's history when he was a child, bouncing around to various foster homes. I liked the whole Citadel in of the volcano. That was really cool that is where Plutonian's home base is. Some of the Soundwave virus plotline got a little bit too convoluted for me, although I was able to follow it in the end. I thought it was an interesting twist that Carrie is actually very powerful now and can go toe to toe with Plutonian and actually makes him retreat. Although Carrie seems like a little bit of an asshole himself, so that will be interesting to see where that goes in future volumes. But I thought this one was pretty fun, and I'm going to give this one an 8.5 out of 10. Thank you all for watching, and I'll be back next week with Irredeemable Volume 3.